After Thanos snapped, while every single Avenger got dusted immediately, including the most powerful ones like Wanda, Strange, and Black Panther, Peter had time to move, to feel not so good, and to talk and hug Tony Stark. But why was Peter different? Why did he last longer than even the most powerful Avengers? The real reason might surprise you, because it's actually pretty simple and painfully obvious once you see it. If we look carefully, all of the characters that were dusted only realized something was wrong in the moment they were already being dusted. But Spider-Man? He seemed to see what was coming before the snap effect even reached him. Even Strange, who literally knew what was coming, got dusted as quickly as the others. Sure, he had time to say some words to Tony, but it wasn't like he lasted longer. He simply used the exact time he had left, because he already knew when it would happen. He didn't delay it. He just accepted it. But Peter did manage to resist the snap effects. If you watch carefully, the moment he hugs Tony Stark, you can already see his body starting to disintegrate. That's something you didn't see happen with anyone else. But why? And how? The answer basically lies in the characteristic that only Spider-Man possesses, and that is his spider sense. If you're a Marvel fan, you definitely know how Peter's spider sense works. It's triggered every time danger is coming in Peter's direction. We've seen this happen multiple times in every Spider-Man movie throughout the years. And thanks to that, he's avoided many fatal moments because he gets warned before it even happens. And although in this case, he wasn't going to suffer a direct attack from someone, like it usually happens when his spider sense is activated, danger was definitely coming his way. But this was a new situation for him, because this time, the danger wasn't coming from the outside. It came from inside. It wasn't like a grenade was about to be thrown at him, and he could just dodge it. That's why he panicked. He probably never felt that powerless before. However, he didn't last longer just because he sensed something was coming, but because, as he already knew something inside him was wrong, his body and mind were fighting against the effects of the snap. His biology, combined with his spider sense and his willpower, was literally trying to keep him alive. And this isn't just a fan theory. The Russo brothers, who directed Infinity War, confirmed it in an interview. When they were asked why Spider-Man was the last Avenger to disappear, they answered that Peter's will was what made him last longer. That means Peter's will to live was the strongest of all the Avengers that were snapped. Obviously, the spider sense had a huge role in this situation, because he was the only one who sensed it coming for him. And that makes sense, right? Peter had no idea what was happening. He didn't know the plan. He didn't know they'd come back. Unlike Strange, who had seen the outcome, Peter thought this was the end. And that's what made it hit even harder. He just saw friends disappear. He is 15. He didn't understand what's going on. Suddenly your body feels wrong. Your senses are going haywire. And you know, without a doubt, that you're next. That was basically the only thing he could do to try to avoid the danger coming in his direction. And who, knowing they're going to die before it happens, wouldn't panic? Unless you used the time stone like Strange did. Maybe you'd react more calmly. But in Peter's situation, I'm sure most of us would panic. And to make things worse, Tony Stark was standing right in front of him. That made Peter realize exactly what he was leaving behind if he was gone. For sure, MJ and Aunt May crossed his mind in that moment. And that also explains why we saw the look of struggle in Peter's face, but not in anyone else's. So basically, thanks to Peter's unique characteristics, the Russo brothers were able to deliver one of the most emotional scenes in the entire MCU. Interestingly, the only other character who had a similar moment was Thanos in Endgame. After Tony's snap, he was the last of his army to disappear because he was in denial of his defeat. His will to stay alive and keep leading his plan was strong. He wasn't accepting defeat, but when he looked around and saw his army gone, he understood that it was over. Not only was it impossible to keep pursuing his plan, because he was now alone, but he also realized that he too was going to be affected by Tony's snap. When he sat down, it was him accepting his defeat and waiting to be dusted just like everyone else. He just didn't seem helpless, because he didn't have a spider sense triggering danger throughout his entire body and mind. And honestly, it's kind of funny to think about this, because Peter might actually never need a doctor to tell him if he has a serious disease or not. His sense could tell him. I know this might seem just a simple, wordless detail, but I made this video because I know a lot of people thought Peter lasted longer just because the Russo brothers wanted to create an emotional scene to add impact. At this point, if you're a diehard MCU fan, you know they never do anything without a strong reason. That's why I truly believe Tony Stark is still alive, because the evidence throughout the MCU is overwhelming. He might show up sooner than you think. If you want to understand how Tony Stark is alive and how he could come back, just click on the video that's popping up right now. You're going to be shocked.